So when we look at the interoperability things, right? People are not switching from XRP or Link to QNT, right? It's not going to happen because everybody wants to break even, blah, blah, blah. We're all very hopeful people, even though we're cynical as fuck. Then we have the people that are throwing their money in memes right now and just, like Tim said, are recycling, repurposing funds and just trying to get incrementally higher up into the food chain. But retail still isn't here. And if we look at what happened in 2021, we saw buses with Shiba Inu logos and fuck knows what else. Floki, that was it. Floki.
Floki was the thing.
Floki were on buses or trams, whatever. And everybody and their neighbor were calling me, asking me, oh, Jarno, can you do a quick presentation about QNT? I'm really interested in getting into that coin. Some shit like that. We're not there yet. Ladies and gentlemen, comrades, welcome to episode 16 of the Quamfy Show. Today is October 8th. It's supposed to be October. People are not happy, as usual. I think this is the prelude to pretty much every fucking episode in the last, maybe a year. Quant is a dinosaur coin of the previous bull cycle, and it will never see its all-time high ever again. Exactly. We'll be diving into that. Quant wrote a new article about banks and tapping into the permissionless blockchains. Then we have the ECB sharing their vision on tokenization, which is really interesting. And Just a Tech Guy made a tweet. And that will take us into the latest quant article we received in the mail. We'll also have a look at our portfolios and just some general discussion as to what is going on in the space and what everybody is thinking, feeling, hoping, and so on. It's an interesting time, right? Like when we were in 2020, the pre-bull market period. I don't know how to call it. It's like that point of the cycle where everybody knows what's coming and everybody's excited and it cannot come fast enough. And then we have the meme culture attempting to relieve stress with humor, and as a result, influencing all the weaker minds, and just outright creating like this vibe of everything is to shit and it will never recover. And in our opinion, that is just unwarranted, because everything that needs to happen, right, for the bull market, and needs to happen in quotation marks, bunny ears, is happening, right? If we're talking about the rate cuts, we're talking about China throwing the kitchen sink at the economy, pulling some QE with a bazooka, so to speak. I believe they threw a bunch of trillions at the market. I mean, it's still only a drop in the bucket, but right, efforts are being made. Elections are running their course. The U.S. economy is in full fear and loathing, as it's supposed to be around elections, chewing each other up. So everything is escalating as it should, and I see the irony in that. But it will just take a little while longer, right? The Bitcoin halving is a fact, and always after that, there's like this kind of cool off period where there's some volatility and then a huge dip, and so on. And it was the same in 2020, And then we peaked a year and a half later in September 2021, which was a stunted cycle, broken record here. And we should have got in 2021 an additional peak somewhere around 2021, 2022, Q4, Q1.
Yeah, I feel like you always have this, well, obviously it's called the boring zone, but it happens every single time. And the problem is people think they can kind of predict or time this stage in the cycle. So people are like, yeah, okay, well, it's just kind of going sideways all the time. Not much is happening. I can just play around a little bit. I can go into memes. I can go into some speculative stuff, and then the market takes off, and then people usually start to panic or start to FOMO into the wrong stuff. And that's actually how things usually go. I always feel like people are making the wrong decisions at this stage in time. You should be accumulating and just waiting and doing nothing. But people are kind of trying to play around, make more gains to ultimately then buy more crypto. While the paradox is that trying to buy more crypto later on, while not knowing when the market takes off, might actually put you in a wrong position. If that makes any sense.
Oh,
so you're kind of trying to play around here, making gains, but then once everything takes off, you should be selling. That's not the time you should be you should start buying more, and that's what happens.
Yeah, and that is indeed
maybe
a fact, and it's a little bit of, it's a little bit of a rinse and repeat from previous cycles. People still, right? There's okay. Right now in the crypto market, let's take an example, Hamster Combat. Hamster Combat's a game, you play the game, and there was an airdrop predicted. Yeah, the airdrop was shit, but still, 131 million people were eventually eligible for the airdrop of the 300 million people that took part in the game. Right, so 170 million people were not eligible, were cheaters, or whatever. That's 131 million new crypto wallets, right? That's about the same as the amount of people that were in BTC in 2020, 2021, if I remember correctly. So that's massive because they accrued those numbers, Hamster Combat, in like 4 months. So if we now take it back to Quant has 150,000 wallets, right? It's pretty much zero when you compare it to 130 million. There has been barely any inflow of new people in either Quant or other projects, right? There's just still no retail interest in crypto.
I feel like it's the same people playing around.
It is. And that takes me to a conversation I had with somebody else. I actually had a couple of conversations. People DM me with questions like, yo, Jarno, what do you think of this, that? What's your point of view? And I see it like this right now. So what is Quant, right? If we boil it down, it's quote unquote interoperability. What other projects are interoperability? Yeah, in quotation marks, Chainlink, XRP. Let's keep it at that. Those two combined have like, maybe 2 million people, 2 million wallets-ish, something like that. All those people entered prior 2020 or in 2020. So those were the people that were interested in interoperability. A lot of quotation marks here. Bear with me. All those people that joined back then probably bought XRP and Chainlink. Why? They had marketing. So they had, again, in quotation marks, their interoperability bet. Quant was late. Quant didn't do any real marketing.
No,
So
for sure they didn't.
so they didn't accrue many holders. All the people that were in the quote unquote interoperability got burned because XRP is not delivering, right? Link could be delivering, but also isn't really, not really. And even still, if people believe that it is, people are not going to be skipping from XRP or Link to QNT. Why? Because they're underwater.
Yeah.
So we have that, right? So there's no new people since 2021 coming into QNT, simply because the people that joined between January and September were just green candle hunters, which is fine. We probably lost a bunch of those already. But still, what are the people, who are the people that joined crypto since then? And that's, to Tim's point, meme coins, right? Interoperability protocols mostly have been a lie, right? None of them have delivered. None of them have actually done what they promised to do. If
yeah,
you,
or they
if you
offer
ask
interoperability, but then on their own terms, right? It's
yeah,
not true interoperability.
yeah, exactly. So they didn't deliver. They didn't deliver the adoption, and that's kind of like what the sentiment is on X. If you, in my opinion, boil it all the way down.
They
right?
technically delivered, but they didn't really deliver. If it
Yeah.
makes any sense.
People are just disappointed. Another upside for the Chainlink and XRP is that you can stake it and you can get interest and you can get loans and blah, 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 and so on. Anyway, Quant doesn't have all that stuff. People that joined between September 2021, Quant all-time high, and now are mostly in there for the memes. And you can say and think of memes whatever you want, but at least memes are honest. Everybody knows a meme coin is nothing but a funny image with a narrative.
It is.
And if we are really fucking honest, Nike, Adidas, Australian, I know I'm old, are all just sports brands with a narrative. Nothing more. Nothing about Adidas or Nike is better than from Australian or Umbro or whatever other brands exist. But the narrative is what sells, right? Same with most wine, same with most whatever. It's more or less all equal, but the narrative is what sells. And the same is with meme coins. So people are just, because money is scarce for most people in crypto, there are not many real investors with deep pockets speculating in crypto. Why? Because, well, there's not much to go on and it's literally a kind of a casino thing. So you need to make your bets in a way that you think that you have any control over
Oh, yeah.
what is going on. And people want their monies now so they can buy better stuff. That's what we tell ourselves later. So sorry, my yogurt is fighting back. So when we look at the interoperability things, right? People are not switching from XRP or Link to QNT, right? It's not going to happen because everybody wants to break even, blah, blah, blah. We're all very hopeful people, even though we're cynical as fuck. Then we have the people that are throwing their money in memes right now and just, like Tim said, are recycling, repurposing funds and just trying to get incrementally higher up into the food chain. But retail still isn't here. And if we look at what happened in 2021, we saw buses with Shiba Inu logos and fuck knows what else. Floki, that was it. Floki.
Floki was the thing.
Floki were on buses or trams, whatever. And everybody and their neighbor were calling me, asking me, oh, Jarno, can you do a quick presentation about QNT? I'm really interested in getting into that coin. Some shit like that. We're not there yet. And what my thoughts are is that by now everybody, when we take it back to Quant, knows Quant watching on the sidelines, people hoping they can make money elsewhere. They need confirmation, they need validation, and they need staking. And that was also the vast majority of the messages that I received. Like, yo, Jarno, when a stake can come in, what will it look like? What will the ROI be? And so on. And truly, I don't know. I have no clue. It will be real, right? It will be real yield. So there won't be any inflation going on. And you'll get paid in QT, arguably still. We don't know anything else. I think it will come around set P. But what I do know is that as soon as that comes, it becomes a lot more interesting, opportunity cost wise, for people that are already up to speed with QT. And I think that it takes a few more dominoes for people to start realizing that not everything is a lie, not everything is a scam. And right now, even us within the quant community are still sabotaging our own projects by complaining and bitching and whining. Even though that got better, gotta say. But I think still believe that people will come and people will come back. And it's the same with the meme coin chasers that are chasing the meme coins right now. They either will burn out or they'll learn their lesson and they'll rotate, not necessarily to QT, but eventually when QT picks up, same as in 2021, it will be inevitable that people will start to hop on the train and they will be our liquidity. And yes, this time I will be taking profits even from my QT. I will not be fucking round tripping again. But again, to take it like all the way back to a hamster combat, 131 million people were interested in playing a game for an airdrop. That airdrop turned out to be like what, 10 or 20 euros, maybe something like that. It's probably even less now. But that was 131 million people looking for free money. A lot of those people, and this is just my thinking, were not eligible for the airdrop because they didn't know how to use a wallet, how to connect a wallet. They thought it was too difficult or too scary, or they failed to meet requirements, blah, 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 blah. That being said, all those people still wanted to take part in this and be part of it. And I'd say that's very promising. I think there's a lot of people on the sidelines looking to make money, not knowing that we will take all their money. And yes, call me a psychopath, but that is how it works. Especially
basically your exit liquidity.
Especially when it comes to meme coins and stuff like that, right? I mean, most of them are just based on the greater fool, right? And it's sad, but it's the truth. Yeah, and I don't want to take anybody else's money, but that is how it works. No, but I mean, if somebody was here right now, I wouldn't put a gun to their head and take their money. But if somebody comes up to me like, hey, dude, I have this money for you. Will you please take it from me? Because I think that what you're going to give me is going to make me more money. Who am I then to say no? I was an idiot. I was an idiot in 2021. But if now somebody wants this used toothpick and he wants to pay me €1 for it, because he thinks that because Jarno, co-host of the Quamfy Show, chewed on this is worth €10.
Yeah.
Why would I not say, sure, motherfucker, I have stacks of these. Here, look at, there's another one. I mean, that's kind of what it boils down to in a way. And it first made me really sad, right? That is the way that money is made, but it is how money is made. Anyway, you look at it. People spend money on something they think has more value than the money that they spend on it.
Ultimately, sure, with there's a difference, right? Because then with some cryptos and some assets, it's literally based on greater fool theory, because there's no intrinsic value to what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right? The product itself doesn't really produce anything. Like a meme, it doesn't, it's just a meme, right? And it's not even claiming to be anything else than a meme.
Yes, but the value is in the community and the shared experience and the images and so on.
But that's it. But then, for example, with like some stocks, you buy them, but you can buy them from someone else. But if they pay you dividends, you're actually buying a product which is actually granting you some dividends.
Yeah.
So it's giving you something back. And then with quants, you also buy into a product, an actual functioning product. I think there's a difference in that. So I don't really feel like the greater fool theory completely applies with us. And that's why I don't really feel bad about that. But for example, with some utter nonsense in crypto where people just know it's not really worth anything, but they just speculate that it's gonna blow up based on hype.
To you,
to
you it doesn't have value. But if you're in a project for a long time and you like the community and you're building things, for instance, Hamster Combat right now, they're actually building games and they're partnering with games and they're creating this entire ecosystem and shit around it. And there's more examples of this where it started out just as a meme, but it picked up because people loved the culture, people loved the engagement, people loved the people that they met there, right? They were kind of in a way like-minded people. And when like-minded people meet, right, and they form tribes, then that's when magic happens. And yes, most of them will not. But I think brushing something off as meh, it's only a meme, is a little bit short selling something that can be a thing. I mean, arguably, right, with maybe iPhone, I'm not sure if that's the right, but they have a very vibrant and committed community around that brand. And that's strength for them.
Yeah, true. But
is an iPhone really so much better as a Samsung or as a Huawei or LG? I don't know, right? Eventually, it boils down to, yes, I know there's intricacies to every platform and so on, but there's still a silicon chip in it, and there's still a processor, and there's still a camera, and so on, and the rest is more or less nuanced. And yes, build quality is a thing, but the culture and the strength around the brand, that is what really matters. That's sort of loyalty and the sort of the stories around it. And meme coins have the two in a way, not all of them, and many try and many fail, but the same goes for like tons of other things. Anyway, taking it back to Quant is a dinosaur coin, and it will never reach all-time high again. Time will tell. I think it's not the case. I'm still like, what, 90% QNT? I do have a bunch of other shit, moonbags, but I still have my money on QNT. I think this year was already amazing. I think there could be more, but there's definitely more next year. The when gateway question, yeah, I think still around SETP, right? The secure asset transfer protocol. I think that is pretty much done. I feel I have no facts, but they are already up to an extent and testing. And it will be a matter of time before that goes live. And all the banks and stuff that we're gonna tap into in the next topics, they'll need SETP, and there's no other protocol that can do the same thing.
No.
And gateways will make it all possible, accessible, and we'll elaborate on that on later slides. Tim, do you have anything to add on this, please?
No, not really.
Okay.
No. Just kind of went everywhere with this topic. We started with wallets and the inflow of people, and then it was about like the value of intrinsic value. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep. Hey, we're continuing.
Yeah, intrinsic value and retail interest, right?
I think retail interest kind of
yeah,
it's this previous part. pretty well.
It's there. People are still scared. People have no trust, no confidence. Same for the OGs. There's no trust and no confidence in interoperability, because it's all a scam.
Dinosaur technology.
Yes.
You've started sharing your screen. What are we looking at?
Yes, so what we see here is knowledge up only. That's just the tech guy's latest iteration. See what I did there? Do you now understand why Overledger is production grade for regulated markets? You don't get this with Chainlink. And he quotes a bit here from Quant's latest newsletter. And that is this one. I am now on quant.network/perspectives/will banks ever be able to tap into the liquidity of permissionless blockchains? And that's the title of the article. I have received this in my email the other day. And it reads as follows. At the end of August, the Basel Committee on Banking Supervision released a working paper outlining the risks of permissionless blockchains and potential ways to mitigate such challenges. While addressing the concerns raised, our founder and CEO Gilbert argues that Quant's methodology and technology mitigate against them, while unlocking new sources of liquidity. Security is pivotal in finance. Can permissionless blockchains, which are inherently susceptible to a myriad of risks, ever provide the security banks demand? Decentralized in nature, permissionless blockchains, also known as public blockchains, are open networks that do not limit the number of participants that can join the consensus process used to validate data and transactions. I'm going to go a little bit longer and then we're going to dive into analysis. Some of their key characteristics include transparency of transactions, open source development, anonymity with some exceptions, and no central authority. So why would a bank consider using one? One compelling answer is liquidity. The architecture of a permissionless blockchain means that network participants have access to a much larger pool of counterparties, including both buy-side and sell-side firms, effectively opening entirely new markets. Compelling, though that prospect is, the industry isn't yet ready to transition the infrastructure we have today to permissionless networks. Okay, so this is really interesting because Quant wrote this on October 7th, which is what, yesterday-ish? Yeah, because today is the 8th. So this is hot off the presses. The Basel Committee, that's Swiss, right?
Probably Basel is in Switzerland, so.
Yeah. Yeah, your topography is a lot better than mine, not gonna lie. Well, again, Gilbert talking about permissionless blockchains. He wrote about them a couple of months back, that there is a chance or that there was interest from banks to do stuff with permissionless blockchains. Can't remember which episode, but we were like, okay, wait, what? This is new. This is interesting. And now they're poking at it again. They're talking about why the banks are cautious. It's because banks have control. They have control. They can both monitor and tweak, but also troubleshoot if something goes wrong. And the problem with public blockchains is that if anything happens, who's going to be accountable, who's going to be liable, and so on. You also don't know who you can trust. And all those things are obviously true on the internet right now, but they are a lot bigger when it comes to blockchains with anonymity and such. Yes, so they write that today mission critical infrastructure is on closed private networks that are typically interbank with within the bank, and intra-bank is with others. This is what we said in the introduction. Institutional appetite and consumer appetite for digital asset grows. And obviously you get bottlenecks, and they think a hybrid approach is the solution. And Gilbert has a quote on that. So there's a quote: a hybrid approach bridging the gap between the liquidity provided by public blockchains and the appeal of digital assets should be our objectives. Our objective, as said by Gilbert Verdian and my fat finger click. So then we're talking about risk, and this is the bit where just a tech guy tweeted about. The Basel Committee and Banking Supervision's paper sets out several risks pertaining to governance, technology, compliance, and liquidity. All are important, and we have considered them carefully in refining our methodology and building our core technology platform, Overledger. So here they're actually saying, okay, listen, we read this, we know this, and as usual, Gilbert was already fixing the problems before the problems were published to the public, which is really fucking cool, because this committee probably didn't even know that these were the problems until Gilbert told them that there were problems, and that when they realized that it is a problem to solve, Gilbert was like, that's interesting, we have a solution for that. So they speak here of governance risks, obviously decentralization. They speak about business critical risks, right? Forks, branches lost, and they're providing solutions to all these problems by giving examples what Overledger can do. Settlement, right? Key challenge, permissionless blockchains. They don't always go as expected. A lack of finality can cause uncertainty around the settlement status of transactions. And to overcome this, we're able to implement integrity checks across blockchains using our patented technology. This helps to ensure transactions are written on the underlying chain while holding the state until it is confirmed. I love these articles, right? Quant has gone really, really good. Okay, so this is what everybody wants. This is what government/banks say that is a really big fucking problem. These are some examples. And these are the products that we have to actually mitigate these. And if you just dial it back, right? Wind back time a little bit, like maybe a year ago, then all these Overledger solutions were picking up, right? We got authorized and all those others. I forgot the names already. And we were like, okay, yeah, oh, that's nice. Oh, that's fun. And now we're starting to see what the purposes of all of those things, and we'll get to another one in a second.
I think you're right.
Yeah, so to mitigate regulatory risk, Quant offers the capability to whitelist or blacklist addresses to be authorized for use, which minimizes the risk of unauthorized transfers and transactions. To further reduce compliance risk, we run Know Your Customer checks on all public mainnet transactions through Onfido, and so on. The paper presented a series of potential mitigants against the risk of permissionless blockchains. Quant technology addresses each of these. Here, this is what I mean, right? So business continuity planning, technology-based controls over parties and transactions, permissioning of a subset of node infrastructure, technology to address privacy and confidentiality, technology to address liquidity risk. If you want the details, read the article. It is really, really good stuff. And yeah, what's in store for the future? Permissionless blockchains are not yet ready for institutional adoption. The current sentiment towards permissionless blockchains is comparable to the initial response to the internet, which was also considered too much of a risk. But with most financial institutions already running private blockchain networks, The key differentiator is the ability to unlock liquidity on other public or private networks safely, and regulation is helping to fuel this, but only to a point. While regulation is accelerating, the tokenization of securities for the system to work requires a secure institutional bridge between digital assets and digital money. Quant's technology provides the necessary controls to allow banks to safely and securely adopt and interact with public blockchains without exposing themselves to significant risk. And right, the peek into the future, they're literally saying it is coming, right? There's a lot of value to unlock. There's a lot to gain for everybody involved on the permissionless blockchains, but you cannot just go in there like we do, like a rabid degen, and just throw money around and expect everything to go well, because it won't. Because there's always somebody else prepared to be dishonest or just lax when it comes to coding. The other stuff like that, we have plenty of examples. So this is pretty cool. And in the same vein, there is a new integration. Kudos to Pierinho, if that's how you pronounce his name, in Quamfy Launch 2.0. He found this. This is Pipedream. Pipedream is like Zapier and Make, a low-code platform for big companies. And they all have their ups and downs, and their pluses and their minuses. If you want to know the differences, you can just type in Google Pipedream, Zapier, and Make, and you can find like this comparison, benefits of one versus the other. The bottom line is that this is another API integration low-code platform which supports Overledger. And those are the three biggest. There are arguably probably more. Some popular apps that can be connected. OpenAI, maybe you heard of it, ChatGPT, right? WooCommerce, Snowflake, Mongo, AWS, Amazon SES, Slack, Zendesk, Microsoft Teams.
I wonder what you're going to do with Microsoft Teams and Overledger.
Teams is bigger than just the chat, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
I think it's pretty similar to Google.
Yeah, fair enough. It's bigger than just chatting around.
Yeah. And what is interesting is they have example use cases like automated multi-chain financial reporting, cross-blockchain event monitoring, decentralized application management, and then they have like quote-unquote popular Overledger integrations. I'm not so sure about that, but you see Google Docs here. You see HTTP webhooks, RSS plus Overledger, Discord plus Overledger, Slack plus Overledger, Discord bot, Typeform, Slack, Swappy Star Wars, I don't know what the fuck that is, Zoom, Stripe, Pipedream, Twilio, X. So if these are actually already existing APIs used by people, I'd say that's pretty cool. And I am just not creative enough to see the connection there. A link is in the description if you want to check it out. Well, what this means, and we dove into that when Make and Zapier was announced. This is what the SME, right, the small, medium enterprises require. This is what they want. And we as a community are generally like, when marketing, when adoption. And that's because we only look at what is targeted at us. And Overledger doesn't target shit at us. Quant doesn't target shit at us. Why? Because we are not the intended users for Overledger. These companies are, right? They will want to have God knows what kind of integrations, and they want them interoperable, and they want them in a few clicks. And by proxy, we will be using Overledger, and they will be our proxies. So eventually, most of your payments and transactions will in some way, shape, or form probably touch with something of some part of the quant technology through either AWS or through Oracle or whatever. And with this, right, the permeation through all the layers of business gets expedited, like exponentially, because if you have both Make, Zapier, and or Pipedream, anybody arguably uses that, which is, I think, pretty cool, pretty promising. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. Tim, do you have anything to add on this?
Not really. I'm always a bit skeptical with these API integrations. As in, I don't really know what they do, and I also don't really know how much it's being used, because it seems really generic here. If you scroll down a little bit again, yeah, you have all these possible applications.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think it just opened it up to everyone, and then it's now kind of an experiment to see what people come up with and start how people start using it.
Yeah.
But for some reason, if it's really being opened up here, why are we not really seeing any use cases done by the community, right? So we should be seeing people actually using Overledger in one of these programs. For now, as long as I understand it, it's just opened up. You could technically use it, but how much is it actually being used? I am very skeptical with that. I mean, I don't know. I don't really have an answer to that. But for a community where people like to play around, and for example, with the gateways, right? So we have the Quant developer community, and people were actually really going into the gateway stuff back in 2020 already. So that's years ago. And now we literally have Overledger opened up to the world. But where are the applications? Where is the use case? I don't really know. Maybe I am having kind of a tunnel vision, and it's just me. We just doesn't really see anything being applied here. But
yeah, I think that still, I think that still has to do with that. Most of us don't have businesses necessarily interested or ready to be using stuff like this. Like they said, right? I mean, we're talking banks here for the Basel Committee, because they are about banks. But all these same arguments, they go for businesses as well. And if you're a small, medium enterprise entrepreneur, would you at this point in time in the market start fiddling and gambling your business that you built with your own hard-earned blood, sweat, tears, money, blah, 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 blah? And would you fiddle around with blockchain, permissionless? I mean, getting access to permission chains, setting that up, that's arguably still fucking expensive or too complicated infrastructure-wise. I don't know. I think that could be a reason. I mean, I'm not trying to think of excuses. I'd also love to see show me the data, show me the APIs, blah, 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 which is fine.
Yeah.
But it could also be still, because we do know that Quant is about secrecy and stuff and NDA, that even, I mean, there could potentially be 1,000 companies all building already with Quant on this, but they are unable to share.
We just don't really know about for reasons.
No. But what is interesting, let me see if I can find this here. Still this overview. The Overledger API by Quant Network allows developers to interact with multiple blockchain networks. It facilitates the creation, reading, and execution of smart contracts and transactions across different blockchains. This API simplifies the complex nature of blockchain interoperability, enabling multi-chain applications through a single gateway. And what you see here is a Sepolia network JavaScript, which is a testnet. So seeing this will only give access to testnet. We know that there are main nets live. But we've never seen anybody post anything about that. I do not believe that the Quant mainnet is Sasquatch.
No.
Right? I do believe that it's there, but it's a really well-kept secret. And that kind of then takes me back again to, I think it was Gilbert that said something about Google and stealth launch and blah, blah,
Yeah,
blah.
just staying low.
The longer you can keep building in the background without
people noticing.
Yeah, exactly. The longer you can keep that up, the bigger your bang will be, and so on. And again, I know from experience how Quant is when it comes to secrecy, and how they how do you say? I'm looking for the word to keep you to it. I can't find the word. Handhaven, enforce. How they enforce their all their fucking hell. I'm toast. How they how they enforce their NDAs and all their terms of service and so on. It's with Iron Fist. So yeah. But we'll have to wait and see. Time will tell. Eventually, it will happen, and or it won't.
Yeah.
And then we'll be a bunch of fucking jokers and clowns, and we'll leave this all up for forever. So you can post in the comments that we're hopium idiots.
Yeah, but that by that time we have gained so much knowledge that we'll probably stumble across something else, and then that will be your eventual success, I guess. No, the thing is, I feel like, how do I say? Sometimes it feels like things are done on purpose. As you just said, like Quantus, the company itself is playing chess on the highest level, and we do not necessarily see any kind of tangible products coming from it. But we do see that all the participants, which aren't the smallest companies on this planet, are really enthusiastic about it. So something is clearly going on. There is a mismatch between the level of enthusiasm by really renowned parties and what we see as a community. There is a mismatch, which could either mean that they are a bunch of liars, and we will see Gilbert in jail, like the guy with the curly hair, the
CZ?
Yeah, no, the
Simon Bankman-Fried.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and we'll see Gilbert handcuffed like a Bernie Madoff in one of the biggest scandals in finance in recent years, or they're just flying low, not showing anything of their secret sauce, and while they do it, they can actually draw in everyone, and then it's too late for the competition to catch up. It's one of those two scenarios, apparently, or there's a middle ground, which would still be bullish, because then people are, well, at least companies are really enthusiastic, and they are building a product which actually kind of works. So we'll have to see about that. I think it's a middle ground. Hey, let's look at our Coingecko. That was what we were going to do, right?
Yep. All right. So
because yeah, it's not really transforming into money.
yeah.
So far.
Well, our H2 portfolios, right? Starting with Tim. Tim is down 30% total. BitTensor is up on the 24-hour.
I feel like BitTensor is always up.
It's up 14.7% on the 7-day. It's down 2% on the hour.
Okay.
The rest is all down overall. Not really anything to write home about. My portfolio, probably other shit. So 45% down all time. DGen is making some gains today, 4.4%, but that's the only one. Higher is up 65% over the week, which is pretty cool. But still down 75% for my portfolio creation. Yeah. If we have a look at the cryptocurrencies by market cap, let's see what that takes us. So if we look at Bitcoin, Bitcoin is on the 24 hours down 1.7%. Hey, that's the same as Tau. And up 2.3% on the week. Now, if we look there, we put it on a month. 3 months. 3 months, Bitcoin is just ranging around the 55K mark-ish. We'll see. And it's arguably creating some sort of a flag or whatever pattern, God knows. Ethereum, more or less same. No, it's not more or less the same. Ethereum is like way down. You look at the 3 month. It was at 3,233. It's now at 225. No, it's there. I'm so sorry. Looking at the rest of the coins and tokens.
Cool for the generic.
Yeah, BNB on the 7 days seems to be picking up a bit. That's probably because CZ got released or some stupid shit like that. If you look at the 1 year for BNB, that's actually a stable coin at around 500, which is fascinating.
I feel like we're ranging. We've been ranging the past week, and we can go across all the different cryptos. But we've just been in a range, and it is the boring zone, really. There's not too much to report. And that's okay. Quant has been going down a little bit since a few weeks.
Yeah, but Quant is the only coin going down. And then I look at Python Network, same graph. Look at Helium, same graph. Celestia, Polygon, Algorand, Jupiter, Ondo, all the same graph, the same peaks, the same drops. So there's nothing special.
No, as I said earlier this episode, it's just the same group of people trying to play the same game, finding those outperformers and then using the profits from these outperformers to buy more crypto.
Yeah, somebody tipped me this. Yes, me. Yes, me coin. Don't know why.
Do we have any more substantial stuff to talk about? Is there because we can keep staring at?
We have the ECB shares a vision of tokenization to support EU Digital Capital Markets Union. That's a fucking mouthful once again. In an important speech today, European Central Bank Director Piero Cipollone proposed the creation of a European ledger.
Sounds bullish.
The EU's version of the unified ledger to support tokenization in the capital markets. He noted the challenges in creating a conventional capital markets union, including the need for greater legal harmonization. The director highlighted some risks in moving towards digital assets and DLT, but rather than viewing tokenization as a threat, he said the EU should embrace a clean sheet opportunity to create a digital capital markets union. I'll read this again because this is interesting. But rather than viewing tokenization as a threat, he said the EU should embrace the clean sheet opportunity to create a digital capital markets union. He was speaking at a Bundesbank symposium. Yeah, everybody's talking about the Great Reset. Everybody's talking about how the economy is in the shitter. Here he literally says the EU should embrace the clean sheet opportunity, which is pretty cool. This is a quote, European Ledger. The European Ledger could bring together token versions of central bank money, commercial bank money, and other digital assets on a shared programmable platform, said Mr. Cipollone. That sounds Italian. In essence, this would see T2s evolving. No, I'm not going to do that. Evolving into a DLT-based single financial market infrastructure for Europe. While central banks would provide the platform or the quote unquote rails, so to speak, market participants would supply the content or the quote unquote trains. T2S refers to the EU high value payment system used for the settlement of securities transactions in central bank money. Since May, the European Central Bank has been coordinating the Euro system's DLT trials for wholesale settlement using central bank money, with 60 private sector organizations taking part. You can see the level of interest and engagement. While the EU's DLT pilot regime, which relaxes some of the current EU laws, has not been embraced by incumbents, the first startups are likely to be approved soon. So this is all really, really, really interesting. And
this is interesting here. If we drag our feet while other jurisdictions move faster and produce better solutions, we could see financial activities migrating elsewhere in private entities from outside the EU, assuming a dominant position in European capital markets.
Gilbert is
what
whispering.
We talked about last week.
Yeah. Gilbert is whispering in the UK's ears, in the US's ears, in the EU's ears. And yeah. It's what wasn't that Tony Stark? Selling rockets, weapons, and missiles to everybody. As long as there's war, I don't care. If you all want to shoot each other, that's fine. Just buy my shit. Go ahead. Yeah. So
let's not go through the whole thing, but
no. They're also talking about the risks of a failure to act, which is obviously in line with Tim just highlighted. That is so terrible for headphone users. Imagine having a fucking subwoofer in your car or listening at home through your.
I am really sorry.
Home cinema system.
I am really sorry.
In terms of concrete actions, following the settlement trials ending next month, the ECB and Eurosystem are exploring how it can build on that. That implies either extending the time frame or making some or all solutions permanent. Additionally, it plans to explore allowing DLT-based assets to be used as collateral. We note that the Swiss National Bank extended its wholesale CBDC trial by 2 years and already accepts DLT-based collateral. I wonder how. And the director said some interoperability systems are considered the stopgap towards migrating to the longer-term vision. This might be a nod to the use of the trigger solution in the current settlement trials, blah, 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 blah. And then the final quote, in embracing this technological shift policies, we are not merely reacting to change, but actively participating in shaping a more efficient, innovative, and resilient financial future for Europe, Mr. Cipollone concluded. Yeah, so a lot of Gilbertisms, a lot of very interesting words that are all very, very familiar to us. There was a tweet by Ledger Insights that's in the description about the digital securities sandbox for the UK, which starts in January. Here it reads that new legislation came into force. This is also in line with what Gilbert said about that there's now regulatory clarity, blah, 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 blah. And here they speak of this sandbox going live in February, if I remember correctly. And this is not on testnet. This is a digital
No.
security sandbox.
There's actual money involved in this sandbox.
And there's actual money
It's
involved.
like Dubai. There's actual money in the sandbox.
They have limits. Yeah, this is in billions for gilts, corporate bonds, asset-backed securities, and so on. This is going live in February. People can join. There's like this sign-up momentum. They expect certain parties. Yeah, this will be live at February 2025 for an unregulated entity, provided it makes it to Gate 2, go live on November 2025 or later. So yes, this will be ramping up. As we said, I think it was in the Dutch show. Expanding on this is super easy. And yes, it's a sandbox, but yes, there's actual money going around. No, they can't use crypto as of now. But if stuff works and stuff is safe and stuff is feasible, viable, and so on, it is pretty easy to add, as they already did here with this. This is already a newer iteration than when the article was initially published. Things can go really quickly with this. If you want the full deeds, check the description. And if you want to do some trading, maybe get some hamster combat or some Q&T, go to BYBIT, use our link. You'll find it below before you subscribe and like and do all those beautiful, wonderful things that we are so very grateful for. Thank you.
We're a toast.
Yeah.
Really, usually there's a bit more energy.
Yeah,
in the show.
we were already an hour here sitting on standby, but because of some redecorating in like the main living room, the kids and Leon and everybody were here, and even with the most like vile, rancid noise canceling ever created by humans, Tim could still hear my son in the background whacking on his xylophone and God knows what else. Even worse, you could hear like my mother-in-law speak through a camera phone speaker, and that was just insufferable. So yeah, we were here for like fucking 1 hour just.
And on top of that, we also do the Dutch show, which was a week ago, and then sure, things happened last week, and it's actually impressive how much changes over the course of a week, especially on a time span that we do record the Quamfy Show. We've been doing this since November 2021. But sometimes you kind of repeat the stuff you said last week. There were also some things I was like, yeah, should we really touch upon it again? Didn't really feel the need to, because that DSSS story that we just touched upon is actually involving real money. The participants are playing with actual pounds. And it's a lot. We made a calculation. It was a lot of money. It was like 65...
It's only a couple of billion, dear boy.
Yeah, it was more than £1 billion, right? That's a lot.
It's only a few billions. Guilds, 0.6 to 1.25 billion. Sterling corporate bonds, 0.9 to 1.5 billion.
Yeah, I have to look at it. And
short-term money markets, only 4.4 to 8.8 billion.
Yeah, so just have to look at it. And
change.
As always, in 2 weeks' time, there will be more news. And it's just so weird to just see all this stuff accumulating. And you also forget, right? Because there's always new stuff going around, but you forget what we've talked about in the past. But make up your own calculations and draw your own conclusions. Because either we are absolute clowns, or we are actually seeing something that most people don't really see. And they're really building a giant in the background. And I think I tend to side with that conclusion. But
it's not even in the background anymore, man. I mean, it's every single large bank
is involved. Yeah, last week we had this conference here in Amsterdam, and Quant apparently was like the DXB conference, something like that.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
didn't even know it existed, and we were just going through the because well, Quant was the main sponsor, and we're just
Yeah.
going through that list of banks that participated. We're like, this is like all of Europe. We actually have a Armenian bank and a Turkish bank at the same conference. Like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And it was just one of these random events that happened last week that everyone has already forgotten about. But Martin was actually there talking to banks about like the how do you say, like the virtues of Overledger.
What's also so funny to me is that people are still when marketing, when product, when blah blah blah. And then in the meantime, Quant is golden sponsoring all these big ass events
Which
where
is literally marketing.
exactly where every bank that has any money to spend or has any interest in to innovate is being invited, or governments or companies or whatever.
So I feel like these rounds of FUD are just being brought up, and
People just don't see, right? As
people
if
just
some
don't understand, and it's all based on price action. Because the
yeah
FUD, all the rounds of FUD that are out there can be tackled. And sure, there are some things which are deeper and more fundamental. For example, the stuff that Boss brings up every now and then. But still, that's a point of it is valid critique. But the question is how useful is it really? And it is useful, but is it really a point of thought, or is it more like giving critique to a product that already exists and is maybe not fully rolled out in like different aspects? You know, how representative is the testnet compared to a mainnet that we might not fully see? And that's a different critique than saying, well, there is no marketing, or they don't really have any clients, which is utter nonsense. Because as we showed today, we all have a new platform rollout. You can actually connect Overledger to more and more stuff. There's just so much being done.
yeah
Draw your own conclusions. Hey, in 2 weeks' time, I'll be on Cyprus. So I won't be here. I think we have to look what we're gonna do as a solution.
if somebody wants to come on the show, let me know. You can just DM me on Telegram. You can find me under my name on Telegram or on X.
Yeah.
Send me a DM if you have anything interesting to say, if you want to have a chat. Looking forward to it. Otherwise, I'll just solo Jarno Quamfy Show this, and we'll be fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, in any case, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching if you did.
Sure.
I hope you enjoyed the show, and well, we'll see you in a bit, in 2 weeks or more. Stay comfy.
Stay Quamfy.